Well, happy Friday to everybody. We made it through another week again. I hope it's been fabulous for you. I know it's been a great week for me. Always look forward to the weekend, spending time with the family. So, here is another edition of Friendly Friday Safety Tips. And this one is certainly near and dear to my heart, but it's about disaster planning or emergency response plans. Now, since my background is in disaster planning and emergency response, I could probably spend all day on this topic, but looking at it from a risk management perspective or a business owner perspective or someone in a safety officer role, safety manager role perspective, really you should have some basic emergency response plans for your operations, including obviously what to do in the event of a fire. Obviously, there's building exits inside the building. You're going to follow that exit path, but make sure you've pre-identified and educated to your staff where the muster point is, where you guys going to go to be accountable to make sure that everybody is there. I know that's a big thing on a job site if there's a fire alarm. You guys have a certain point that you go to, but you want to put that plan in writing and you want to educate it out to the staff and you want to educate it every time it changes or at least annually. Those are important things to do. Also, due to recent events, and I say recent over the last 20, 25, 30 years, we've become very exposed to an active shooter situation. And I'm not here to get into a gun debate on amendment rights and so on and so forth, but I am here to tell you that if you don't have an active shooter plan, you're putting lives at risk. An active shooter plan could be as simple as what the city of Houston put together a few years ago: run, hide, fight, and describe those locations. I think the new terminology is avoid, deny, defend. There's a couple of ways it's being said, but you need to have an active shooter response plan. Your staff needs to be trained and understand what to do and what could save their life in an active shooter event. They're unforeseeable events for the most part. There are some warning signs and different things we won't get into in this short little safety tip video, but you need to have a response plan. Where can they go? Is there places they can barricade themselves? Where are the nearest exits? Have you walked through it? Have you talked to them about not huddling in groups and staying separate, barricading doors so that people can't come in? You need an active shooter response plan. It's pretty much a no-brainer. Also, obviously, if you work in a hazardous location, you're going to want to have emergency response plans for rescuing people if something happens. Unfortunately, just yesterday on the news, a plumber had tunneled underneath a house to do some work. Very dangerous situation. I'm certainly imagining confined space there. I also imagine that OSHA's probably going to pop up and figure out what the heck happened because the man lost his life. But you need to have a response plan. How are we going to get that person out of there if there is an emergency? How close is the nearest fire department? What is the response time? Should we make them aware ahead of time that we're working in this location in a hazardous condition so that they know if there's a call that they need to expedite that service to us? There's all these things that can be done on the front end that you might be shaking your head right now going, Tom, I'm not going to do that stuff. I don't have time for it. Well, if somebody's life depends on it, you should probably make time for it. That's the reality of it. So again, disaster response plans. I could keep going on. We talked about active shooter, we talked about fire safety, we talked about emergency rescue plans. Depending on the location and building you're working in, if you have like a daycare and your business office for your employees, you need to have an introduction plan. What are we going to do in the event that somebody tries to take a child? There's all these different things: severe weather, where do we hide, where do we shelter in place? Don't go stand by the big giant glass window at the front of the building and take pictures. Put plans together, educate your staff, and keep educating them as A, it changes, or B, at least annually, or C, whenever there's been a recent event that would call for you to reevaluate that plan. Plan. If you don't know how to do that, give me a call. Message me here on LinkedIn. Call me on my cell phone if you know me. If you don't know me, send me a message. I'll send you my number. Have a response plan. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Star Wars, hello. It comes out today. Hope to see you at the movie theaters. Have a great one.